What is up, YouTube? And welcome back to 7 Nights video. And today we're going to be talking about something that pretty much everyone has been asking me, and for good reason. It is going to be about these brilliant skill enhancement stones which are used to upgrade your legendary heroes. And we're going to be talking about it today specifically because after this recent reset, the arena shop actually reset, which is like the source of the most brilliant skill enhancement stones every month. And you're able to buy 4. You're also able to buy stuff from other stores as well. But basically, everyone got a lot today, and before you spend them, you want to be very careful because they are such a time-gated resource unless you end up spending. So I will say, because of this, you do want to focus on your PvE characters. You're going to see that I did end up buying a few from the store, but you're going to see that they all went onto my PvE units. So pretty much all the units I use for PvP right now have 0 skill enhances into them. And the reason why is because you really want to prioritize your PvE units at the start of the game, especially if you aren't like a Giga Whale, because you do want to make sure that your PvE teams are up and running. So in terms of what to prioritize with it, there's going to be multiple characters that you want to really focus on early, and then also you're going to want to try to aim for certain skills, which I'll actually talk about. So the number one priority for your characters is going to be your farmer. So at first you'll only have one farmer. It'll usually be Tio because of the fact that he is going to be the character that you reroll for most of the time, and he has that starter banner. So Tio is a very good option. There's another farmer that you can do, such as Yunhee, who's also a very good option. You can even do something like Klahan, which I do believe I have on my account, I just don't have it built. Yes, Klahan's also very good. Even something like a Velika is a good farmer as well. That's also another legendary. So out of these 4 legendary farmers, you really want to make sure that, one, you prioritize your Tio if you have him, because he's going to be your best early game farmer. But whatever farmer you decide to use in the early game, you want to make sure that you focus in on them. Now, you will need 2 farmers later on, so you want to apply this to basically 2 characters of this list. And the reason why is because in Nightmare, you need to have 2 farmers because you're running 2 teams at the same time. Now, in terms of what to prioritize, for Tio, for example, you want to prioritize any skill enhancements that boost their AoE damage on their skills. The reason why is because you need to kill the waves really fast while farming. So for Tio, his skill 1 and skill 2 are very good. You'll see for Yunhee, her skill 1 and skill 2 are also very good. So in general, it's going to be the skill 1s and skill 2s for the most part for most of these characters. And even for Velika, it's pretty much the same thing. If you use Nia, it's going to be the same thing. But essentially, anything that improves their damage. Now, keep in mind, some of the skill enhancements might not increase their damage, so don't get baited. For example, Kagura is a good example because hers actually just increases her status chance. So you have to keep that in mind and make sure you look over it. But you want to make sure that you aim for the AoE attacks. And of course, you can't really choose which AoE attacks you want to go for, because if you actually look at this, for example, if I go to like Kagura here, if you put in a skill enhance, it is random. So you don't actually get to choose what skill you want. It ends up being random and it'll go into a random skill. So you have to keep in mind that there is some RNG and you have to kind of pray you hit the right one. But going for the AoE attacks is pretty much all you need. Now, some of them will have important passives that you want as well. For example, Tio's passive gives him a physical attack boost when he dies and revives. That's a good one to go for. Yunhee's gives her extra magic boost. That's also good to go for it when you're farming. So you just want to make sure you look at the passives and see which ones are good. For example, if we look at Velika's here as well, Velika's will also give her crit boost and magic damage boost. You have to realize this magic damage boost is only effective in tower, so it's not as high of a priority. So you can kind of see what I'm saying. You just want to make sure that you go for specific ones. Those are like the farmers you want to go for. What is the next priority? So in terms of your legendaries, the next priority is going to be your raid DPS. The raid DPS are basically going to be Espada, Pascal, and also, where is she? And here she is, Shane here. Now there's also a 4th one. People don't really realize this, but it's also going to be Daisy. And the reason why is because Daisy is an Ox DPS. She also is important to bring up because if she doesn't meet the DPS check, if she doesn't kill the minions with her 1 butterfly flames, or like otherwise gets them to like super low HP, you can't really do Ox King. So these 4 are basically the ones you want to go for. So essentially for all of these characters, you're going to want to try to get everything except for the basic attack. The basic attack doesn't really matter too much because you're just playing to burst, but everything else is pretty important. For Daisy specifically, you can actually just get away with only her passive and her skill 2. Her skill 1 and basic attack aren't needed. And for Shane, of course, same thing, you want everything but the basic attack. And the reason why is because it just gives them a ton of damage. Now these 4 characters are your bread and butter for gearing up. You will want to invest heavily into them in terms of skills. Later on, you may even want to use excess skill enhancement stones for the basic attack, although I don't really recommend it because those are very rare to come by. But these 4 characters you definitely want to raise up and focus a lot on. You can see like almost all of mine are T6. It's because I have these 4 on my wish list pretty much permanently, because even though there's some other cool characters out there, you know, these 4 are by far the most important to focus on because they are just tied strictly to your progression, right? The more dupes you can get into them, and the more like, you know, skill enhancements you can get into them, they will start gearing your account even faster, which is just going to be better for your account progression. So these 4 are definitely important to go for. Like I said, everything but the basic attack is going to be good. Daisy doesn't even need her skill 1 because, yeah, it doesn't really do that much damage. Now, the third priority I have after that is Lena. So some people like to do Lena right away. I don't really think it's necessary because she's just a healer, right? Even though healing is nice, you will get DPS checked a lot more. And because of that, you know, it's just better to get your DPSs up. And a lot of the times you are going to over cap on healing. So the thing with healing is like you can always heal too much. There are situations where you'll over heal, but damage, you're never going to do too much damage. So like that's like my logic behind it. Lena is a very good option to go for third after your farmers because most importantly, her S1, her skill 1, gives her extra healing, which is very good for some raid fights, which do a ton of damage. But her basic attack is like the most important one. This gives her healing on the turns that she doesn't even have her skills, because when she uses her basic attack, she will heal an ally equal to her own max HP. So if you stack her on very high health, she heals so much. So very important to get her basic attack in skill 1. I have her all done because I got really unlucky and got these 2 first. So that's pretty unfortunate, but Lena is a very good option to go after your raid DPS. Now, after Lena, I'd say another very important one eventually will be your Biscuit. So Biscuit's important because she will also give you extra damage. You're going to want to eventually get her skill 1 and then her passive to get the defense reduction. Everything else doesn't really matter, so her skill enhancement on her basic attack is also pretty decent to reduce damage for the harder raid stages. But you just want to prioritize her skill 1, and then later on her passive and basic attack are pretty good. Biscuit is good everywhere in like, you know, boss fights, so because of that she's an amazing character to get up. But the thing is, like, even with low investment at like T0 and with no skill investments, she's absolutely amazing. So she's kind of like a less priority over, she's not really as much as a priority as your raid DPS and like Lena. Now after those characters, so you know, let's just recap. So you want to do your farmers first, your 2 farmers, very important. Then you want to do your raid DPSs. Then you want to do your Lena into her basic attack and skill 1. And then, you know, Biscuit into her skill 1 for now, and then eventually into her passive and basic attack is like the order that I recommend. After that, this is where you have a lot more flexibility because you have your PvE like cores done. You can either go into PvP. So for example, you know, if you like to play death, you can get Chris up. Chris has like very good skills as well. You can increase the death chance of your skill 1 if you want. Even your skill 1, not your skill 1, your basic attack, if you skill enhance it, it has a chance to inflict death, which is very important. You could do stuff like your Vanessa if you want to increase the effect of her Petrify and stuff like that. So PvP characters are definitely on the table. I actually did my Jury as well because she's a PvP character that I use everywhere, and she's also very good in PvP, or not PvP, PvE as well as PvP. So, you know, I definitely recommend doing her as well. And, you know, besides that, if you're not really into the PvP aspect, you can do your Castle Rush units. So this is actually something I recommend a little bit more. And I didn't actually get to my Castle Rush units because I am dabbling in PvP, so my guild is gonna hate me. But, you know, stuff like Ruri, your magic damage, DPS for those castle days. Taka, your physical damage, DPS for those castle days. And then Miho, another sub DPS for those castle days, are all very good to go into. For your regular single target days, I think it's on Sundays or maybe it's Saturdays, Pascal fits that bill, so you already have him built, so they are going to be good to go. But essentially, you know, after your main PvE units, you can go for PvP or your Castle Rush units. And in terms of like the rare units, I know a lot of people are going to ask about it. You do get a lot more of these crystals. You just want to max out your raid units for the most part. So Evan is very important, Yui is very important, Lucy is very important. Charon is pretty important. Now you don't need like the basic attacks in a lot of these because it just does extra damage, but getting like their passive abilities and their healing abilities if they have it is also very important to do. And Victoria is another raid unit. You don't really need to use it on her because hers kind of sucks. I honestly don't know why I did this. Oh, I think I did it for the raid's morale, but Victoria you can skip over for the most part. You know, a lot of the rare characters are going to be the raid characters. Now, in terms of the raid rare characters like Black Rose, you know, you got like Juppy, you got Snipper and stuff like that, and also Yuri, right? All used for the raids. It might be very tempting to invest into them, but I would recommend not investing into them. The reason why is because they will get replaced by T0 Shane, T0 Espada, T0 Pascal as soon as you get them. So if you put into them rare crystals, you'll just kind of be wasting it. And even though they're a lot more easier to get, still in the early game you don't have too many. So I would just prioritize the rare supports because the rare supports are always usable. The rare DPSs will always get phased out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the enhancement guide. I almost forgot to show you guys the code. There is actually a code right now that will last for only a couple days as of this video's released. So the code is actually, as you see, Assassin. I'll put it in the comments down below and also in the description. But you can see it gives you what's called 120 keys, which will be a great boost to your account. But pretty much it for this video though, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video.